Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. A very intriguing article coming from the Ukrainians with a piece of news that really doesn't make sense. But since we do not have all the pieces of this puzzle, we might not be able to understand the exact reason why. And that is, NATO claims, and some big countries in NATO, that is, not Romania or Bulgaria or something like that, that Ukraine will not receive fighter jets, F-16s, now during the counteroffensive, but will receive them after the counteroffensive. Now, it's like someone says, I will call the police after the robbery ends. Or let's say, I will, I will go and buy a gun, or get the gun out when the whole thing ended. Well, that's why you have it, to defend yourself. That's why you can call the police, right, to come and help you. So here's the counteroffensive. What do you mean you don't send them weapons when they now need them? You send them after it's done? All right, let's see. Let's look into this little article coming from the New Voice of Ukraine. This is from July 4th, 2023. Ukraine won't get fighter jets until counteroffensive is over, claims top NATO admiral. So that's the thing. You're not going to receive them until it's over. I think they should have been sent before the counteroffensive even started to be used. But hey, I will tell you what exactly I think about not sending F-16s to Russia. And I think they're afraid they're gonna be shut down, and then it's gonna show the real quality in real war of these planes with let's put it, I would dare to say it, more modern air defense systems and airplanes. F-16s were involved in what? In Iraq, were involved in probably in how do you call it, Yugoslavia in 1999, even though it was more bombardments than, then it was probably it was in Libya, in Syria, against what? There's about, the top military, which is the United States of America, is going to be dealing with someone relatively close to their value. Okay, I'm being very generous towards the Americans right now, all right? And they're not there. I think that's the whole problem. They don't want to send them over there and be blown up, because everybody's going to see then that, what are we doing? The S-300s, the S-400s, blow them up, or Panther, or whatever. They blow them up. Or maybe the, Sukhoi 35 flanker will, I think that is the main reason they don't send. I don't think they will ever send them. And I don't think the F-16s will be involved in the front line. I don't think they will be at the contact line. But that's just a gut feeling, and I think I'm entitled to have gut feelings as well. So let's read this article and see. Maybe they tell us the strategy, the reason behind all this. Ukraine won't receive fighter jets until its counteroffensive against Russia is complete. Good or bad? NATO Military Committee Chairman Admiral Bob Bauer told British radio station LBC on July 3rd, providing Ukraine with fighter jets they have been asking for, and I'm quoting, will not be solved in the short term, end quote, he said. And I'm quoting, training those pilots, training the technicians, making sure that is logistic organization that can actually sustain these aircraft will not be available before this counteroffensive. You know what it is? It's called bad planning. We shouldn't mix the two discussions. I think there were one, but you put them in two different categories. I think the counteroffensive should have been conducted with F-16s and others. But hey, what do I know? We shouldn't mix the two discussions. Why? Let's use Socrates here. I think it's important and understandable that Ukraine asks for this fighter aircraft, but we should not mix it with the counteroffensive discussion now. And again, I want a justification. I want a reason. Okay? I just don't buy your statement over there. I want to see what was the why did you decide that? Pressed on whether he thinks Ukraine can win the war against Russia without the fighter jets, Bauer added, and I'm quoting, "I think Ukraine is at an advantage because it has the Western weapon systems. It has the better training and it has very important, much higher morale and motivation." Okay, this is all blah 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 based on what? Imagine you interview Shoigu and say, "What do you think? Do you think Russia will win?" What do you think Shoigu will say? Something the same way this guy said. So Bauer also commented of warning from Ukraine that Russia has mined the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. That's not a BS. And anyway, and he's a weasel, because if this would happen, if the plant were to be attacked, Bauer said the consequences would reach beyond the typical security issue affecting the entire world. But he talks about only the Russians. So it says, if this would happen, blowing up the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, if this would happen again, then it is a much bigger problem than just a military problem or something only for NATO, he said. This is something that the world will be involved in. This will have an enormous impact in Europe, and therefore one would hope that the Russians would not do this, because I think it will take away a lot of the support. Well, what if the Ukrainians do it? You see, they don't even want to mention the possibility that Ukraine might do such a thing. The reason being, they are good. The possibility the Russians are doing, according to many guys like Bauer, it's 100%, 100. And it's only the Russians that possibly can blow up the nuclear power plant of Zaporizhzhia. Ukraine, you can't even put it together. You know, you say, they say, well, politicians, American politicians don't lie. All Russian politicians lie. This is how these guys are reasoning. And then you expect them to reach the realistic conclusions based on, observation, objective observation, empirical observation. Do you think so? No. That's why when they say, well, Russian economy will collapse in 48 hours, the ruble will be dissipated, Russia will break in no time, the economy is going to be destroyed, Putin is going to be overthrown by his own people, and so on. Never happened. Why? For the same reason. These guys are so indoctrinated with the script and their ideology that they do not pick all the relevant information and put it, as I always said, on the table and analyze it. No, they don't do that. They just pick whatever they think fits the narrative, and they start the other way around. They have to push this narrative right here, and then they pick the information that fits it and support it, and then they throw it to the population. But they ignore other pieces of information that would work against this narrative. And if you know something about it and you mention it, then you're, called this and called that, which we don't care actually. But I'm just saying how these things work. Doesn't make sense. I think that F-16s will not be sent to Ukraine. They will be sent to Ukraine only if somehow, which is an impossibility, I would say, under the current circumstances, Ukraine will push the Russian army, beyond or back to where they were before February 24, 2022. I don't think that would ever happen under the current circumstances. That means the Russian leadership being there. I don't think that will happen. But anyway, then you're going to send them over there after the fact? I never thought that the F-16s are just supposed to be over there as a deterrent or something. I thought they are supposed to be involved in a war. It's like you have an automatic weapon, but you're not going to use it in war because you don't want it to, to jam? I mean, that's an automatic weapon. Its purpose is to fight wars. But here you see it's more than that. It's about money. Money. And money here is made by selling weapons that you advertise in different little wars, and then you say, see, they perform well there, they're well. Against whom? Let's see them here. I mean, this is a real test. I think that's the only purpose, or not only, one of the major blocks that stands in the way of sending the F-16s. Besides the fact that F-16s seem to be like a prima donna, cannot fly under those circumstances, cannot fly if it's raining, if the wind is over 5 miles per hour, if the temperature is, I don't know, about 72. Everything has to be in a certain way. I mean, is that an airplane, a warplane? Oh, we can't use the automatic weapons today because today is Tuesday and this don't work on Tuesday. Let's put them down and wait. Oh, it's Wednesday. Let's go. Pop, 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 pop. Is that how it goes? Reliability. That's one of the main issues of the weapons. You want to have a weapon that is reliable. If you're in an attack, you know that works. If it doesn't work, why the hell you have it then? Just to brand it. Looks good. Looks good. Yeah, shiny. And anyway, it's just I think they're afraid to send him over there. They're afraid they will be shot down. The Russians would videotape those, will take pictures of them. That's why they don't send yet the Abrams 1 tanks, the Americans, for the same reason. They want to see how the Leopard performs. The Leopard 2 is blown up, about 16 of them in the first day or 2 days of the counteroffensive. So they say, let me see, how can we adjust? Maybe if you don't send them. The same will happen with the Abrams 1. What do you think? When these guys say, oh, the Patriot systems are not hit, I think they were blown up. The HIMARS, no HIMARS battery was blown up. I think they were blown up. Not all of them, but if you ask the Americans, it is 0. None of them were destroyed. The other guy says, oh, we destroyed a few. It's very interesting. There's no such a thing as an invulnerable weapon. There's no such a thing. I mean, if you want to watch movies, yes, that's one thing, but that's not reality. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.